This week on LandLeader Television.
We are the leaders of the land. Land is what we live on. It can be explored, built upon, and cultivated. Land holds our wildlife, crops and livestock, and the homes in which we live. It provides a resource for your family. It's what our forefathers settled and our brave fight to protect. It asks that you respect it, keep it free, and put back what you have taken. At times, it's purchased, sold, and traded, and it's passed on from generation to generation. So it's our duty as land brokers to be champions of conservation, habitat management, and ownership. We possess a deep love for our land and respect for all it provides. We are LandLeader.
This segment is brought to you by California Outdoor Properties.
I'm Todd Renfrew with California Outdoor Properties. Thanks for joining us today at the ranch. It's an awesome recreational property, over 1,900 acres. You can run cattle, 200 head for the season. It's really this quintessential recreational ranch.
I bought this to be an ATV place. I love ATVs. Recreation plus a little farming to make a little income. There's probably a little over 30 miles of trails cut with dozer, and it's done for the ATVs, but a lot of them are roads now too. There's 125 acres of farmable ground here, and I plant oats in it, and about 200 in the back. So you can farm 300 acres if you want to grow 300 acres of oats. It's called Cayuse oats, and it's a pretty hardy oats that'll take a little bit of rain and dry. They'll take a little bit of more stop and go than some oats. And I've had it go as high as 6 tons to the acre. I've got 21 heifers and 1 bull and 2 small calves, but I usually run about 80 to 120 if you run them year round. And if you run them part-time, there's a line of people waiting for pasture lease. And in a normal year, it'll run 180 to about 250 pair. Hunting rights is another part of the income. There's 200 people stand in line for that. Hog hunting is year-round, and then, of course, if they're a problem, you can also get deprivation tags for the hogs. And one year, I mean, we've had them in here, 200. They're, in my opinion, some of the better eating. And then that same year, the elk came all the way over into this valley. They came over like 3 ridges from the big valley in the back. Black-tailed deer, and then they call them costieths. They're a part muley, part blacktail. East Park Reservoir, back in the reservoir, and there's crappie and catfish. It's about 3,200 acre reservoir, and you can see it from the top of the hill. We have about a mile of frontage that's not fenced out. There's a shop, and then there's a horse barn. The horse barn is 36 by 44, and the shop is 60 by 120. It's all cement floored and full of equipment. And the horse barn has just got some panel stalls, and 3 horses in it. Man, you could round this ranch up in about 4 hours with an ATV.
You'll notice that you have rolling grasslands with oak-studded hills. You go into the steeper country and you have brush and buckbrush. And the amazing thing about this property, it goes into a big reservoir and you can go water skiing, fishing, swimming. So it just has about a little bit of everything, the flat, the hills, the steep country, and really a good mix of topographical features.
It's about people far and wide, from coast to coast. The farmers, the ranchers, their cattle and crops, weekends in the woods, blueberries, peaches, a fishing pole, and your grandpa's rifle. Best friends, the love of your life, our children. It's about making this real. We've been financing your life for more than a century. We're Farm Credit. We're here to help you grow.
Mahindra knows you have real work to do. So test drive the toughest tractors on earth and get real savings, like up to $8,400 in cash back in savings. Plus, you'll get real peace of mind with Mahindra's industry-best 7-year powertrain warranty. Care for the land you love with real power and performance. And you'll see why Mahindra is the world's #1 selling tractor. Get your work done, America, with Mahindra.
Looking to sell your ranch or farm? Visit LandLeader.com to learn about our exclusive network of the best farm and ranch brokers across the country. LandLeader member brokers are the leaders in their areas, representing the finest properties and providing their clients with the most property marketing in the nation. From ranches and farms to sporting properties and vacant land, we're the largest land marketing company in America. Give us a call or visit LandLeader.com today.
LandLeader Television is brought to you by LandLeader, exclusive properties worldwide. Mahindra, toughest utility vehicles on earth. Gunworks, 1,400 yards right out of the box. Cinch jeans and shirts. Lead, don't follow. And by participating Farm Credit locations. Now it's time for the Farm Credit Tip of the Week.
Buying land? Make sure you consider the availability of water. I'm Jesse Dumas with Farm Credit of Northwest Florida. Every day, my goal is to help land buyers finance property to live on, play on, or farm. However, what's important to one landowner may not be important to another. Is the topography suitable for your use? Is there sufficient cash flow from timber to meet your objectives? These days, one essential feature to consider is water. In some parts of the country, either due to drought or well drilling moratoriums, the quality and availability of a water supply is extremely important when determining the value of a piece of property. Some people even say that water is the new oil. So before you agree to purchase property or decide how much you want to borrow, make sure you're in the know on one of life's and land's essential elements, water. Again, I'm Jesse Dumas with Farm Credit of Northwest Florida with your tip of the week.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Cinch Jeans and Shirts and by Gunworks Rifles.
It comes to this moment. This is what he's prepared for. He's learned the science of long-range shooting. He knows how to select the right gear and how to compensate for wind. He's practiced. He's trained. Now, at 880 yards, he is ready. Gunworks, Long Range University. Visit gunworks.com.
Now's a great time to buy your next farm, ranch, or recreational property. The premier broker members of LandLeader represent the finest properties available on the market today, from working cattle ranches to income-producing farm ground, equestrian facilities and agricultural land to sporting properties and land rich with mineral rights. Let the LandLeader network help you find your next piece of land. Tour thousands of properties for sale online at landleader.com.
There hasn't been a source for the finest land for sale across the country until now. LandLeader offers the largest selection of quality real estate in America. Our real estate members represent thousands of properties across the country, including vacant land, farms, ranches, waterfront, timberland, hunting and recreational properties, homes, cabins, and more. To find property in your area, contact Timberland Realty at timberlandrealty.net.
This segment of LandLeader TV is brought to you by Hayden Outdoors.
Hey, my name is Zach. I work with Hayden Outdoors. We're headed up to the Big Elk Ranch today. I'm super excited to show it to you. It truly is a legacy ranch. Just the seclusion, and it is a trophy unit for elk hunting. It's like owning your own Rocky Mountain National Park all to yourself.
My name's Gary Williams. I've lived and operated the ranch here since 1996. My grandparents started up here in 1965, and I've been here off and on since then. Well, my grandmother's uncle originally bought it in 1929. The fellow that owned it before, when he passed away, the estate owed the bank money and they couldn't pay the money, so the bank sold it to my grandmother's uncle for what was owed on the property, which even at that time was a fairly small amount. And he operated mostly a summer operation, dairy operation. They hand milked 75 head of cows, hauled the milk to Estes Park. They raised hogs, vegetables, and sold all of those to hotels in Estes Park. And then my grandparents took over operations in the middle 60s, and they ran a cow-calf horned Hereford operation up until about 1978. My grandparents moved here in 1965, so I was up here summers and weekends from 1965 on. Worked for my granddad up until 1978 when they retired from it. And then I worked some other jobs, and then in 96 we took back over operation of the property and have kind of operated it since. We're about 70 miles north and west of Denver, about 15 miles from Estes Park. Both parcels together comes to right around 2,200 acres. What we primarily do is we don't own a grass-eating animal of our own. So we lease pasture both to cows, and then also we have a horse boarding operation, which we allow the individual boarders to ride the property. We also do some pasturing for a couple of dude strings through the winter, include the hay for all the livestock. They all get put together and they all get taken care of together. It really is kind of two different parcels, and there's a little chunk of Forest Service that kind of divides them. The front parcel is about 640 acres. There's boundary fence, but it's not fenced separate from Forest Service. So in terms of usage, the Forest Service treats it as a permitted grazing area. They charge you their fees for half the number of livestock that are out there, and they tell you how many you can run and what period of time you can run them on. And I will say this for the Forest Service, at least here, their numbers are not wrong. We've always gotten along well with them. I kind of see that almost as a benefit, although it does limit you only to cattle grazing. Roughly 1,600 acres in here. It's fenced into 4 different pastures. 2 of the pastures we use primarily for horses. One's primarily a summer cow pasture, and then one for haying operations. Every time you do a job up here, you have a memory about something. You know, one of the greatest, the most tedious job here, but the greatest way to learn the property is fixing fence. Granddad and I would spend somewhere 6 to 8 weeks every summer fixing fence. The one story that I do remember, I was about 14. I'd kind of reached as smart as I was ever going to get and wanted to show off, and had never fenced by myself. And Granddad one day pointed off over there and said, that gate needs tightened up a little bit. Why don't you run over there and tighten it up? So I made sure I had all my tools in the pickup and hopped in the pickup and drove across the meadow and came back, and he was very quiet, didn't speak to me at all. That afternoon he said, what do you think we sell here? And I said, well, it's cow-calf operation, sell calves in the fall. And he said, nope, all we have is grass. He says, there's 100 ways to market it. You can do it as cows like we do, you can do it as horses, but every blade of grass you damage is something we can't sell come this fall. Point taken.
This segment is brought to you by LandLeader, exclusive properties worldwide.
Devout to the Pacific Northwest, Land & Wildlife is a leading real estate firm that offers a diversified and accurate approach to marketing and representing our region's finest rural, farm, ranch, recreational lands, and affiliated resorts throughout the region. If it's about the Northwest, we understand it. If you're interested in buying or selling land in Oregon, Washington, or Idaho, email us or give us a call today. We're eager to assist.
Stuck in the weeds? Get your hands on the new Brush Dog dual cutting trimmer head. The Brush Dog combines heavy-duty string line with stainless steel blades, giving you the cutting power to rip through any grass or brush that gets in your way. There's no need to change from string to metal blades, and with a universal fit, the Brush Dog is guaranteed to work with nearly every commercial trimmer. Visit BrushDog.com for more information and purchase yours today. Brush Dog.
This segment of LandLeader TV is brought to you by Hayden Outdoors.
Primarily, hunting fowl is turkey, and then we have deer and elk hunting. It's a limited draw area in the state of Colorado, so typically if you're simply a hunter, you're probably looking at 5 to 7 years before you draw a tag, and you have to apply every year or you lose that status. And then as a landowner, you're guaranteed a certain amount of tags. We're guaranteed 3 hunting tags per year, but it's an application process also. You're not guaranteed the tag that you maybe particularly want, but you're guaranteed to get 3 tags. There's a leftover process if not all the tags are spoken for, and typically we get somewhere in 6 to 7 elk tags every year. The animals that you'll see here year-round are bulls, and they're primarily satellite bulls. And then what we get is in the spring and certain period in the fall, we'll get the cows migrating from higher elevations to lower elevations. Some years they calve here, some years calving's a little late and they've already gone up past us when they calve. There's always bulls here, and the quality of the bulls pretty darn good. Deer are here all the time, lots of does. There are lots of decent bucks. Occasionally there'll be a what you'd consider a trophy buck. It's mule deer, and they're fairly prevalent. The turkeys are fairly prevalent, and you'll find with the turkeys that they end up having a certain pattern, and if you see them at a certain time of day in a certain spot, often as not, if you're there every day, that's in fact where they're at. Well, the main barn to the place was constructed as a dairy barn and for hay storage. There are side sheds down each side. It's roughly 100 feet long, and they were all milking stanchions at one time. And at some point, someone put 4 horse stalls on one side and part of it. 2/3 of the barn has a wood floor. The milking stanchions to the west side, they poured concrete over that floor. We still store hay in there. It'll hold about 3,000 bales if you're ambitious enough to stack high enough. People that pasture horses with us keep their tack in the barn. The next building up is a little cabin that my grandmother's uncle actually lived in. I think it's about 14 feet by 14 feet. And I think he lived for 25 years in that little cabin. There's an ice house that's still standing. They coated the outside of that with concrete. The walls where they stored the ice are about a little over a foot thick, and they were filled with sawdust originally. There's a rail in there. When they cut meat, they hang the meat in there, and there's a rail in there to roll the meat in and out. There's a granary that was probably constructed, my guess is in the 30s. The boards are on the inside, so the pressure of the grain would push the boards against the framing and not push it off the framing. There's still an original homestead house left, probably homesteaded in the late 1890s. Some folks named Meredith, I think, had the original homestead to that parcel. Behind me here is our main hay meadow. It doesn't cut as a single field. You end up patching it out. Average year, I figure, is about 3,500 small bales. We've gotten as high as 5,000. Because the ground is fairly soft, smaller equipment works better. Our goal is always to sell enough hay to cover the cost of haying, and then have enough here that we've put up ourselves to get the horses through the winter.
In addition to the historic homesteads and infrastructure at Big Elk Ranch, there is a newer built 3-bedroom home that offers 2,500 square feet of living space, rustic amenities, beautiful views, and is fully off-grid. The home has a 2-car garage and plenty of space for you and your family to enjoy the great outdoors.
There are 2 fireplaces out there, and those were part of a CCC camp back in the 30s, the Civilian Conservation Corps. And where the cabin was, they had another fireplace there, and that's where they did the cooking for the camp. And then the cabin was built around that fireplace. It's as a hunting or a fishing cabin is a fairly comfortable structure. It's a fairly rustic experience. Cabin Creek out there is a year-round stream. It's got small brown trout and some small brookies in it. And it is a year-round stream, which is the only year-round stream in the area. Eventually dumps into the North St. Vrain. So down here along the county road is the main part of the ranch, which includes the hay meadow and the meadow that we use for the horses most of the time. And then to the east of us is a higher meadow we use for summer cattle pasture. There's several springs up there, as well as a small pond. Lots of open ground up there and kind of sparse trees. And for pasture, the cows do pretty well up there all summer long. We've had a way of doing things, which is kind of how Granddad taught me how to do things. But on a ranch, I think there are 100 right ways to do it. And if somebody picks one of the right ways, we're really comfortable with any of those right ways. And they involve making sure that it's sustainable. The grass up here is fairly fragile, and if you damage it, it takes a long time to recover. There's 100 right ways to go about this business, and I only do it my way, but that is not the only way.
As the largest privately owned ranch in Boulder County, the Big Elk Ranch is an exclusive opportunity to own rare acreage so close to Rocky Mountain National Park and the Front Range of Colorado. Next week on LandLeader Television. For more information on how to feature your property on LandLeader TV, please visit landleader.com.